Welcome back to Oscar Overlander. In this video, I show you how you can make a nice window like this with modern hardware completely by yourself. This is going to be a longer video. I hope I structured this video so that you stick with me all the way till the end, because on the end of this video I'm revealing a secret of the window industry. So I don't want to use time up for my usual thing, but I want to do one thing. And you know why. So before we start making a window, I want to talk about the available material or possible materials. So in my opinion, there is aluminum, there is vinyl, and also wood windows. In my case, I'm using a aluminum window, right? I have someone who is supplying me a base frame, and I can go from there with this and attach the necessary hardware on it. You have to find out what is available to you. Maybe you have the skills and the tools to make a wood window yourself in a frame. Then will it be wood? So if you can get your hands on a vinyl window awning frame, that's a really good one, without any hardware on it because you're adding it. Vinyl is a bad conductor, right? So for thermal transfer, right? So that's why it has a high energy efficiency, vinyl. But in every case, you need to have aluminum or vinyl or wood. You have to have this overlap, right, on the edges. The overlap, so you can hide your friction hinges behind it. So that's important. And if you're able to tuck weld aluminum, then you could go with a very simple frame made by yourself. Look at the sketch. Let's say you have none of these kind of sources. You could use a aluminum rectangular tube. Let's say one and a half inch this way, 1 inch this way, something like that. Then you glue a aluminum flat plate against it, like that. Okay, here's the glue line. And then you have basically already created the room for the glass. Here's the double pane glass, right? And here is your friction hinge. Okay, makes sense? Then you put on the inside against that aluminum, you put a plastic strip on there, 1/4 inch, let's say. That's good enough. It's a conductor, a bad conductor. Plastic is a bad conductor. Something like that. You run it over the table saw, you slice a 1/4 inch off, or even thicker if you like, and then you glue it on. There's incredible glues out there. If you use the 252 from Sika, which I use here to glue my aluminum panels on the Habitat, that will hold like crazy. So you put the plastic against that aluminum, and then you put another tube on there, same size if you want. So on the inside, aluminum, and the plastic in the middle. So you have the outside from the inside divided. So there's no thermal connection. Okay, and then you put a angle, let's say that, or another tube like a wood strip or an aluminum strip, like a smaller pipe with a screw into that, and you got your perfect frame. And why I'm using double pane glass is for the simple reason that I want the best possible energy efficiency, and also I don't want any condensation on the inside. We had a C-Class RV before, and there was these single pane glass sliders in it, right? Those from almost every trailer, every RV. And every morning when I woke up, like our bed was close to a window, I had basically a partially a wet pillow, not because I'm slobbering, it was because the pillow touched the window and absorbed the condensation there. I don't want that anymore. So let's get started. The parts you need, doesn't matter what material your awning leaf is out of, okay? You need a handle, of course, to operate it, right? So the handle themselves with a square driver. Here you need to pay attention that the driver matches the size of the gearbox. In this case here, this is a 7mm, and the driver here is also 7mm. You need a locking gearbox. You know, when you turn this driver here, then the mushroom, I call this mushroom, or that pin here, is moving left and right. Okay, so that basically has the effect that the counterpart, which you have to buy separately, pay attention, this is sold separately and that is sold separately. You know, I will link all the parts you see here which you need to build yourself a window. Yeah, I will link them in the description box, so you don't have to search the world, because basically the parts coming all from different countries. And these friction hinges, they're God knows where they're coming from, but you can purchase them on Amazon. In general, I buy a lot of Amazon because it has been proven that the Amazon delivery is basically the most reliable these days. You know, I ordered things with UPS from other suppliers, and this is the worst. I really have to say that's the worst. Where I live, you know, those people sometimes don't even show up at my door, and they claim to have it delivered, and it's nothing else as a headache. FedEx, almost the same, a little better. You know, Canada Post, it's okay. You know, and most reliable are the Amazon guys. They really come into your house and drop stuff off. I don't know, maybe in different areas is it different, but in mine it works pretty well. Now, just quickly about the needed tools to install all the hardware. Okay, so what you need first off is a drill gun, and maybe an impact gun, unless you like to work with a screwdriver. Okay, so something to mark, measure and mark, and then drill bits. One small drill bit, you know, undetermined size, just to drill a pilot hole. You mark the center, you drill, you pre-drill a little pilot hole, you know, and then you go with the bigger ones in. First drill bit for the screw holes, they are pass holes. For those of you that don't know what a pass hole is, a pass hole is considered a hole slightly bigger than what you penetrating it with. So let's say the screws from the handles are M5, so 5mm in diameter. Therefore, you drill a 6mm hole. So 1/4 inch equals 6mm. Okay, so we have the pass hole covered. 1/4 inch drill bit for the screw holes from the handle. A 3/8 drill bit for the driver in the center, because the driver is a 7mm but a square, so you know that's why you give them a little bit more room. That is that. Then you need a countersink. I prefer the European ones. They have the 3 blades, you know, but you can also use the American ones. They look like this. Yeah, that's a number 8 one. There is number 10 and number 12 as well, number 6 as well. But for this, for that hole size here, is a number 8 perfect, or number 10 that works as well. Okay, so that's actually it about the tools. Also, what you need is a little bit of, let's say, a paper towel or a cloth, so you can, you know, clean it. Cleaner out of a spray bottle. You know, oh, by the way, on my last video, I showed you this big bucket of brake cleaner, right? And alcohol, the cleaning alcohol. So, and somebody said in my video, or underneath the video, I should make sure to explain how I dispense it out of the bucket. So, basically, you could use a spray gun like this, from an empty one, you know, from the household, or you use a pressurized spray gun, you know, like the ones you can buy. You have a pump at the top, and then you can spray, you know, like out of that bottle. I can link it in the description box if you want. You know what I mean with the pressurized one. This, everybody has it in his household, you know, like an empty spray bottle for some Lysol or something like that. But me personally, I prefer to use a plunger can. And this here is a plunger can. So this I can open this one here, you know, and then refill it, right, with liquid. In this case, the brake cleaner or the cleaning alcohol. And then I just take my paper towel or my cloth and I push on top and it is wet, you see? So there's no pollution in my workshop, in the air, you know, through spraying, and I breathe it in because it is just in that area here. So first of all, we put the awning in front of us with the bottom part, yeah, towards us, so we can work on it. I removed the protective tape, as you can see, and now first off we find the center of this length. Okay, so I have now 880 millimeter, yeah, and that's 440 is the center of it. And as next, we have to find the lines of these threads. There's a 5 millimeter thread in there, one there and one there. Yeah, so we have to mark these on the awning window. So it's the distance between the threads, center to center, is 43 millimeter. So 21 basically either side. I know it's 42, but you won't be so accurate with that big pencil. So 21 either side. Okay, mark those lines. Okay, and now is next, we have to measure from the bottom up, because we're putting this gearbox from the bottom in, right? And then we have to find out basically where do I need to drill this hole so that the driver ends up in the right position going right through here. Frictionless, right? Not scraping on the frame. So therefore, we measure from the bottom, from the inside, right? Because you can only push it so far in. From the inside to the center, is it 17 in this case? 17 millimeter. I measure this from the bottom up. Have my 17. Now I know where to drill. I'm just showing you the markings a little closer. Yeah. So this is basically where we're going to drill. These were just pilot holes, very small, with a tiny drill bit. Now 1/4 inch for the ones where the screws going in. 2 chambers. Now I have drilled the 2 holes on the sides, you know, with a 1/4 inch, and I've just given a little clean. So then I have no sharp edges with the countersink. And now I'm going to open up the middle one with the bigger drill bit for the driver. And that's it. Clean that up, the edges, no sharp edges. And that's it. We could now basically install the handle right there. But what we need to do now is we need to mark at the bottom where because this gearbox has to go into the frame, and my frame right now is closed, right? So I need to create a pocket basically vis-a-vis from my drilled holes so that this box dives into the frame, and that's what I'm doing now. Now we have drilled the front for the driver in the middle and for the screws on the sides, and I have created this pocket. You can see here there's a hole in it. Yeah, it's a pocket so that this gearbox or the gearbox fits in there. So now I can put it right in there. Okay, and now I'm going to install the handle. There you go. Take the cap off. So you got access to the screw holes in the handle. So this is, let's say this is closed position. Then the handle would be down. Yes, so the handle has to be down, and if I open it, yeah, then now it's open and the mushroom's moving to the side. So this is closed. Put the screw in there. Can you see it? Yeah. Screw number 1, screw number 2. Make sure you tighten the screws gentle. Make sure you not tighten these screws too much, because as tighter they are, desto heavier the handle goes, like too stiffer the handle goes, okay? So you want to have a decent easy movement on it, because if you tighten them too much and you have to force the handle to open, then the wear and tear is too fast basically, and it won't last that long, the material, okay? So, but as you can see, I have now these 2 screws in, the driver in the middle, and you can see those pins, they're moving when I open the handle, okay? So that's our concealed hardware. Concealed because we cannot see the locking mechanisms, because they're in the frame. When I close the window, you know, then it locks in the frame, so it's non-visible. The only thing I see is that handle. So now, after we tighten the screws, we put that cover cap on, nice and firm, push it out, and this is it. Now, next step is basically installing the friction hinges on the sides. That's what we're going to do now. I haven't touched the friction hinge. So you can see here, there's 3 screws in it. 1, 2, 3. First of all, make sure that those screws are made out of stainless steel, because they might expose to the elements. That's why they should not rust. In this case, I'm using number 10 panhead, self-tapping. Self-tapping means they have a blade at the front, they cut their own hole. Okay? You can use those panhead screws only on those friction hinges, only at the top and at the bottom. And the screw in the middle here needs to be a flathead screw. In this case, I'm using a number 8 1.25 long, you know, but you probably have a different material, so you have to find out what length of screw you need. But that's a number 8 stainless steel flathead. That's important, flathead, because this arm here has to bypass. You can see that there's the screw head, has to bypass that. If you have a panhead there, this will stay on and not close, okay, or bend. So let me show you where the flathead sits right there. You can see, right there is the flathead. So it's going to be tight there. And here is the panhead. So there is the hinge is curved here. You see that? So the panhead has some room. And that's the same at the bottom. Oops, where are we? Here we are. So here it's curved, and the panhead has some room there. So that's okay. I like to use panheads because I have more flange on the panhead to create some pressure, so that I press that hinge against the frame, okay? So, and this is it. So we have our handle set, we have the locking mechanism, we have the hinges on it. It's time to hang it into the frame. So I have installed the outer gasket now, which butts against that lip here. I have installed the inner gasket, the bigger one. Let me show you here. All the way. The inner gasket, the locking parts, they're installed. And now close it, and it is closed. I can't open it. Works well. Let me show from the inside. The inner gasket is installed. You see here the gap is closed. But yeah, overall it looks very good. Functioning, closing, check, done. you know, close as well, locks, and is without any play, firm in the frame. So last thing what is missing is of course the glass, you know, but I'm not going to order the glass if I don't know this assembly is working. Of course I need confirmation that I don't change the size of the awning and stuff like that. So and now I know it's working, I can order the glass. So I'm thinking to put this information about the glass into the next video because it is already long here, but it's maybe too much separated in the next video. So I have to explain it to you now. Anyway, it's going on and on, I know. So the glass, in my case, I will order a glass outside laminated tempered. So 3 millimeter laminated together with 3 millimeter and tempered. That laminated glass is a bummer to break it. You have to hit it hard with a hammer to get to break it, and then you're not even in. You know, and that makes a lot of noise, and maybe if you're not around, it wakes up the neighbor or draws attention from somebody else, you know, like what these guys are doing there. Glass for campers, you know, like it's most likely out of acrylic. You know, real glass windows, they have a special requirement for higher elevations. So you're always changing altitudes, right? If you go up the mountains, down the mountains, you know, like you're not driving always on sea level. You know, if you do so, if you stay on the lower part of this globe, you know, like then you're okay with normal, ordinary double unit glass in this window, you're good to go, you know. But if you plan to go over mountains, let's say we are on the west coast here, we have the Rocky Mountains, it's going up really, really high, you know, and as you may know, you know, as higher you get, desto less air pressure you have. Like the atmospheric pressure is less and less, you know, as higher you go. So therefore, the pressure inside the unit, which is filled with argon or with another gas or maybe just with air, the pressure is increasing because whatever is it filled with, it's expanding. So what it means is basically, let me show you. Let me draw it up. Let's envision a glass unit. So a glass unit has the outer pane and an inner pane of glass. As I said, I will have a laminated 3 millimeter in here, you know, then the interlay, and then 3 millimeter on the out. All over is just over 6 millimeter, you know, and it's tempered. That is tempered. And the inner one, I probably take 3 millimeter or 4 millimeter, you know, and then that's also tempered, you know, because tempered glass is resistant against impacts. That's why I'm tempering it. Here you have the spacer bar. They call it spacer bar in right there, you know. So, and then you may have seen glass, you know, outside of a window. Then there's caulking, like a kind of black, I call it no silicone because I don't know what the right word for that is, but there's a special caulking which bonds that and seals the unit, you know, protects it against the outer elements, you know, condensation. There's water standing on there in the frame, you know. If this is your frame, there's always condensed water in there and stuff. It stays on top of the unit, and so it doesn't find the way in and then blinds your unit. So that's why there's a pretty special caulking. Okay, so that is the buildup of a glass unit. Now, if you go on higher elevations, let's say outer pane, inner pane, if you go on higher elevations, then the pressure inside the unit will expand and makes basically this glass unit bowing to the outside. So big piece of glass, you know, like big pieces of glass, they can cope with that. You know, here's the spacer bar, and you know, like they bend in themselves. But smaller pieces, you know, like without any issues, without ripping those glue apart here, where the spacer bar is glued against the glass, you know. But smaller units, they tend to break because smaller units, they cannot bend. They cannot bend that much, you know. So they will have an effect immediately on the spacer bar, right? Rip it apart here, and then they get blind or they break, you know. So that's especially with smaller units. And we have really small units. They're not even 2 feet. It's just about 1 foot in height, right? So if you have a glass with 5 or 6, then the glass just bows and bends back or whatever, it doesn't affect that so much, you know. So what can be done? And that's a very important question. So we basically have to regulate the pressure in the unit, right? And this can be only done through, let's say, if you put a tube in there, like a breather tube, they call it, breather tube. It's a tube, and then the air can expand, you know, the way it needs, you know, go in or out. But also moisture gets in, and over time, the glass will get blind. Yeah. So what can be done on a professional way is this. Swiss spacer. So what it is, it's basically a valve. Let's draw it up bigger. You spacer in between the glass and the outer glass and the inner glass, okay? So what needs to be done is installed a little tiny valve. And this looks like this. This is a Swiss spacer air. Yeah, it's a tiny valve. It looks like this, has a thread in it, you know, and then you drill a hole with that, and then you turn this little valve in there. You know, you drill a hole on the outside of the spacer, you know, right there, you drill a hole, and then you install this right in there. Yeah, and then you basically caulk around it, close it again, you know, but don't smear it in there, because that is basically, then it doesn't function anymore. So in that little valve, believe it or not, that's really tiny, look, that's my fingernail, you know, is a filter in it, which basically filters the moisture out of the air, which this unit sucks in or blows out, you know. And that's why they don't get blind over time. So that's a pretty, I believe it is patented, you know, I'm sure it's patented. And it's a product from the Swiss, I guess. So otherwise they wouldn't call it Swiss spacer, you know. And that's the solution for dealing with the expansion of the pressure in the units. So you can go over the Rocky Mountains, over the Andes, you know, without that your glass unit breaks. And actually, this technology is probably is for sure what the Windows supplier don't tell you, you know, why they can cope with higher elevation, with higher altitudes, you know, they don't tell you that. So that's why they make those windows so insanely expensive, you know, like, look at what I have, look at those links, you know, like I set up in the description box, and look at the prices for the hardware. It's laughable. Right? If you do the math and count all the prices together, and if you get your hands on a decent frame, you know, like on a base frame, then that's laughable as well, you know. The only thing is I can't link you this, because this is sold within the industry. You need to find a glass guy to talk about it. Maybe you show him my video, you know, about this product here, and he probably will be able to source it in the country where you are, in the States and Canada. Yeah, so there you have to do your due diligence where the right person is to get this product here. Okay, so this is why I can't link it, but this is all. It seems complicated, but if you wrap your head around it, you know, like, and you get all the parts together, you can save thousands of dollars, you know. Like a window like this size is about €1,000 on the market, or 1,300 Canadian, 1,400 Canadian, one window. And I need 5, and I need hedges, I need panorama window. So easily I have to spend $10,000 just for windows and hedges, you know, and I make them all myself, and it's just a fraction of the price what I should pay on the market. So I hope this video was useful for you, and you could take something with you. And if you did, then I'm really happy, and I see you next Friday.